Now we need to create a program which is asks the user for their name, stores their name, then asks the user for their age, stores their age, and finally it gives them one message if they're 18 or over and another message if they're under 18. So the first thing we're going to do, if you use Scratch, you know that you can get your sprite to ask the user a question. When it asks the user a question, it creates a variable and stores the response. So we're going to do something similar using input, and we're also going to create a variable called name. So whatever the user enters as input will be stored in the name variable. And we should make a curly bracket, and don't forget a quotation mark for a string, which will print to the screen. What is your name? Good idea to put a space at the end of this, so there's a gap to put in the input. Then it's nice if we actually print the name back to the user. So we can do something like welcome, and don't forget quotation marks, it's a string. And we're going to concatenate, which means we're going to join our variable name together with a bit of text or a string. Welcome name. Okay, so let's test this. When we run it, we enter your name, and then it says welcome. There should be a space there too. Of course, it looks a bit messy. Okay, then it's time to get the user's age. So once again, we're going to follow this structure, so we can just copy and paste this part. But of course, we don't want to use the name this time. We're going to create a new variable called age. Now, an important thing to remember is that because we're using an integer, which is another word for number, we must put integer here. And don't forget to close the bracket. Any bracket you open, you must also close. So this signifies to our program that we are actually going to need the user to put in a number this time. Then it's actually nice, once again, to print the number they just entered. Something like this. You are, don't forget your quotation mark because it's a string. And then we can use plus like we did up here because we're going to concatenate, which means combine a string with, and we're going to type in str here because that allows us to turn age, which is actually an integer, into a string. So we can combine it together. Okay, anyway, let's run it and check it out. And then I'll type in 87. Okay, so far so good. But if you check 8.2.4, there's a little bit more to go. We need to check the age of the user. So I'll press run once again, or we'll go down here and modify. And then we're going to use what's called a conditional. So for example, if you want to go on a ride at the theme park, the condition is that if you are over a certain height, you can go on the ride. Otherwise, you cannot. So therefore, we're going to use if. So if age is greater than, let's say 17. So anyone who's greater than 17 is allowed. So we'll type in if age is greater than 17. Don't forget the colon, which we always use at the end of a conditional. Then we're going to print, and don't forget curly bracket, quotation mark, and we'll send a message. Well done, you are over, you are 18 or over. Okay, and then down here, now just remember, it's very important that each of the options when you use if or else are on the same level. Okay, so this must be equivalent or the same level of indent as if. So we're going to use else. So if the user puts in any number below 17, then we print a different message, something like this. Sorry, you are under 18. Okay, looks like there's no errors with our program. Let's test it out. And then I'll say 89. Okay, so it's working, and then we'll test what happens if I put in a number less than 18.